All right, so today we're going to do a deep dive into the story of a clothing brand called Represent,
Okay.
which started in a garden shed and then became like $100 million global fashion empire.
Wow.
Yeah, so we're going to be looking at this interview with the founder, George Heaton,
Okay.
from the YouTube channel, The Diary of a CEO.
Oh, cool. I've seen that channel before.
Yeah, it's pretty popular, and I think it'll be interesting to see kind of how this brand that, started so small
Yeah,
could become so massive.
totally. I think a lot of people listening are probably thinking like,
Yeah,
how did they do that? What are the secrets?
totally. And I'm really curious, too, about this idea that they built a brand that people feel really deeply connected to.
Right.
It's almost like it's a lifestyle.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's what every brand wants,
Yeah.
but very few can actually pull it off.
Exactly. So we'll see how they actually did it. And also, I'm kind of curious about the challenges they faced along the way.
Oh, yeah. There's always challenges.
Always. Yeah. And they're never easy. So what's interesting, too, is that George and his brother Michael, they built this business with no prior experience.
Oh, wow.
Like they were literally figuring out how to design and manufacture and like ship clothes from their dad's shed.
That's crazy. So it was a real like crash course.
Total crash course in entrepreneurship.
Learn as you go.
Exactly. And, they were like 20 years old when they started. So
Oh, wow. So young.
really young. So
Yeah.
what's impressive is that they were able to turn those early struggles
Yeah.
into valuable lessons.
Definitely.
So, for example, they initially hired their friends
Oh, okay.
to work in the business, which, sounds fun,
Yeah,
but it ultimately created some roadblocks as the business grew.
that makes sense.
Yeah, and it's a good reminder that, as your venture evolves,
Yeah.
you need to adapt your team and your processes.
For sure, you have to be willing to make those tough decisions.
Totally. So, but first, let's rewind all the way back to the beginning.
Okay.
So, George's passion for clothing stems from his childhood, actually.
Oh, interesting.
He was super sensitive to fabrics. Like, he hated the way clothes felt against his skin.
Oh, so like sensory issues.
Yeah, and it's interesting, those early experiences can kind of shape our trajectory.
Totally.
And for him, that discomfort led to like a deep appreciation for quality and fit,
Oh, I see.
which became like cornerstones of the Represent brand.
Okay.
He actually credits his grandmother, who was a skilled tailor, with instilling in him this attention to detail.
That's awesome. It's like a family legacy.
Yeah, and then fast forward to college, and George has this like light bulb moment.
Okay.
He realizes he can combine his artistic talent with this emerging power of social media
Right.
to create a clothing brand.
Makes sense.
And he really had this vision of creating like a British version of the streetwear giants
Oh,
that were blowing up in the US at the time.
so kind of tapping into that streetwear culture,
Exactly.
but with a British twist.
Yeah. And it was a brilliant insight.
Yeah.
He recognized that the way people consumed and interacted with fashion was changing.
Totally.
And social media was like this direct line to his target audience.
Yeah. It was a game changer for sure.
Totally. And it wasn't just about creating great clothes. It was also about building a community.
Right. Building that hype.
Yeah, exactly. But not everyone bought into his vision initially.
Right.
He calls this the shedding phase, which is essentially like shedding the doubts and negativity of people who don't believe in your dream.
Ah, I see.
So imagine telling like your family and friends
Yeah.
that you're going to launch like a global fashion brand from a garden shed.
Yeah.
They probably weren't throwing a party.
Probably not the most supportive.
No, they weren't exactly like, oh yeah, this is a great idea.
Right. Like get a real job kind of thing.
Exactly. And this shedding phase is something that many entrepreneurs experience.
Totally.
It's about developing the resilience to push forward despite the lack of support,
For sure.
which can be tough, especially when it comes from like your closest people.
Yeah, that's got to be really hard.
So there they are in the garden shed figuring things out on the fly. They're fulfilling orders. They're dealing with like international suppliers. They're learning about manufacturing and logistics, and all while making very little money.
So basically a masterclass in bootstrapping.
Totally. Yeah, they were forced to be resourceful and adaptable and incredibly scrappy.
That's impressive.
Yeah, and they learned to like stretch every dollar and make the most of their limited resources.
Those are valuable skills.
Yeah, exactly. And it doesn't matter what industry you're in. Those are skills you can apply anywhere.
Definitely.
So those early lessons paid off because within a few years, they went from making like 10,000 pounds to generating 6 to 7 million pounds in revenue.
Wow, that's incredible growth.
Yeah, like annually.
That's insane.
But here's where things get interesting. So George admits that hiring friends,
Okay.
which seemed like a good idea at the time,
Yeah.
ultimately hindered their growth.
Oh, that's a common pitfall, I think.
Yeah, it's tempting to bring your friends on board.
Yeah.
But sometimes personal relationships can cloud judgment and create friction in a professional setting.
It's hard to separate the two sometimes.
Exactly. And for Represent, it led to a plateau. They kind of hit a ceiling.
Okay.
And George started to feel his own motivation waning.
Oh, wow. So even with all that success.
Yeah, he describes feeling dissatisfied with himself and with the brand.
So it's like outward success doesn't always mean inner fulfillment.
Exactly. And it's a great example of how self-awareness is so important.
Totally.
And recognizing, when a course correction is needed,
Yeah.
both personally and professionally.
Definitely got to listen to those inner signals.
Exactly. And boy, did he course correct.
Okay.
It's like he flipped a switch.
Right.
He started focusing on fitness discipline and establishing a really clear set of personal principles.
So like a total personal transformation.
Yeah, he even drew a picture of how he wanted to look and feel and used it as a daily reminder.
Oh, wow. That's dedication.
Yeah, of the person he was becoming.
I love that.
And that personal transformation directly impacted Represent.
Yeah.
He channeled that discipline and focus into a complete brand revamp.
So it all starts with the inner work.
Yeah, for sure. And they transitioned to a direct-to-consumer model.
Oh, interesting.
Which meant cutting out the middleman
Okay.
and selling directly to their customers online.
So they have more control.
Exactly. It gave them more control over pricing, branding, and the customer experience.
Right.
They also became obsessed with quality.
Nice.
Sourcing like the finest fabrics and manufacturers.
That's smart.
And this shift to a direct-to-consumer model is something we're seeing across a lot of industries.
Totally. Yeah. It allows brands to build stronger relationships with their customers,
Yeah.
create a more personalized experience.
Exactly. And a key part of this revamp was moving production to Portugal,
Okay.
which was a huge decision.
Yeah.
They knew it would improve the quality of the garments and their profit margins.
Right.
But there was a major clash with James, their chief product officer, who initially resisted the idea.
So internal conflict.
Yeah, it illustrates how important it is to be open to ideas from your team,
For sure.
even if they challenge your initial thinking.
Yeah.
And George eventually came around, recognizing that James's expertise was crucial to making this transition successful.
That's good that he was able to listen.
Yeah, it's so interesting how his story often comes back to the power of the team.
Right.
Initially, he resisted hiring people with more experience,
Okay.
thinking like, why would they want to work for us?
Right.
But he realized that bringing in people with diverse skills and perspectives was essential
For sure.
to reach that next level.
You can't do it all alone.
Exactly. And recognizing that he didn't have all the answers was a major turning point for George, both as a leader and for effects as represents growth.
It's a good lesson for all of us.
Yeah, it's a reminder that surrounding yourself with talented people who challenge you can be one of the most impactful things you do as an entrepreneur.
Totally. I couldn't agree more.
So we've seen this like whirlwind of growth, personal transformation.
Yeah.
This like near-death experience with the trademark battle
Right.
and the realization that building a strong team is essential.
Totally.
But throughout it all, there's this undeniable, like something special about Represent.
Yeah.
It's more than just clothing. It's like
Yeah.
a community, a lifestyle, almost like a cult following.
That's fascinating. Like, how do you create that?
Right. And it's really captivating that they've cultivated this sense of belonging and exclusivity
Yeah.
without relying on traditional marketing tactics.
So it's authentic.
Yeah, it's a testament to the power of authenticity and genuine connection with their audience.
That's awesome.
So one way they do this is through their Owners Club,
Okay.
which is a specific range within Represent
Right.
that has developed its own subculture.
Oh, cool.
It's like seeing someone on the street wearing an Owners Club piece. You
Right.
instantly connect, It's like you're part of the same tribe.
Like a secret society.
Yeah, and they've even had fans tattoo the logo on themselves.
Wow, that's commitment.
Yeah, and it's a fascinating example of how a brand can transcend its products
Yeah.
and become a symbol of shared values and aspirations.
Right.
They've tapped into that deep human need for connection and belonging
Totally.
and created a community that extends far beyond just the clothes.
That's really powerful.
And this sense of belonging is amplified by their obsession with quality.
Yeah.
and exceeding customer expectations.
Makes sense.
George is relentless in making sure that every detail is perfect.
Oh, wow.
From like the feel of the fabric to the speed of delivery.
It's impressive.
And this dedication to excellence is really what sets them apart.
Totally. In a crowded marketplace, it's the brands that go above and beyond that stand out.
Exactly. And he's constantly benchmarking himself against other brands.
Whoa.
Always striving to be the best.
That's a good mindset.
But this level of dedication comes with a flip side.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, it can't all be roses.
Yeah, so George is very open about the sacrifices he's made,
Okay.
particularly when it comes to his personal life.
Makes sense.
You know, he even questions whether those sacrifices have been worth it at times.
Oh, wow.
He describes his work ethic as bordering on obsession,
Oh.
acknowledging that it's become a bit of a prison,
Oh, no.
preventing him from fully engaging in other areas of his life.
That's sad.
And it's a classic entrepreneurial dilemma,
Yeah.
you know? That tension between ambition and well-being
Totally.
and unsustainable growth can harm both the business and the individual.
For sure, it's about finding that balance.
Exactly. And the impact on his relationships has been significant.
Okay.
He talks about feeling guilty when he's not working.
Oh, wow.
Like he's letting people down by choosing to spend time on anything other than represent.
Oh, that's tough.
Yeah, and it highlights the difficulty of switching off.
Right.
When your identity is so intertwined with your work.
It's hard to separate those things sometimes.
He even brings up work-life balance,
Okay.
which he initially dismisses as a myth.
Oh, really?
For those who want to achieve true success. But later in the conversation, he seems to soften his stance a bit,
Okay.
admitting that maybe he's starting to see things differently.
That's interesting, like a shift in perspective.
Yeah, it's interesting to see that evolution in his thinking.
Yeah.
Perhaps as he matures, he's recognizing the importance of a more balanced approach to life.
Hopefully.
But it's clearly a work in progress.
Okay.
He talks about his recent attempts to prioritize personal relationships.
Okay.
But even dating is filled with guilt and anxiety.
Oh, wow. So he's still struggling.
Yeah, it's a relatable struggle
Totally.
for many driven individuals.
Yeah.
You know, learning to prioritize self-care and nurture those connections outside of work is a process.
For sure. It's not easy.
But here's the thing. Despite the sacrifices, the challenges, the moments of doubt, George genuinely seems happy.
Oh, that's good.
He's living his dream. You know, he's creating something he's passionate about
Right.
and building a global community around his vision.
That's awesome.
It's a testament to the power of purpose. When our work aligns with our values and we're creating something meaningful,
Right.
it can bring a deep sense of fulfillment, even amidst the challenges.
For sure.
So his story is packed with valuable lessons for anyone, you know, pursuing their dreams or seeking a more fulfilling life.
Definitely.
One key takeaway is that it's okay to not be good at everything.
Right.
Don't let fear stop you from seeking help or delegating tasks.
Yeah.
True leadership lies in recognizing your limitations and leveraging the strengths of others.
Exactly.
Trying to do everything yourself is a recipe for burnout.
Totally.
Another important lesson is to embrace discipline over motivation.
Okay.
Motivation comes and goes,
Yeah.
but discipline is what keeps you moving forward,
Right.
even when you don't feel like it.
It's about building those habits.
Exactly. And he also emphasizes the need to constantly adapt and iterate.
Yeah.
You know, the world's constantly changing.
Yeah.
So be willing to experiment, test new ideas, and adjust your approach based on what you learn.
That's crucial.
And finally, George's story reminds us that the journey is just as important as the destination.
Total.
So enjoy the process, celebrate the small wins,
Yeah.
and don't let the pursuit of success rob you of the joy in the present moment.
It's all about finding that balance.
Exactly. So remember how George was asked about something he assumes to be true, but hasn't really deeply questioned?
Yeah.
His answer might surprise you.
Okay. I'm intrigued.
So George is asked this question,
Okay.
and you know what he says?
Why?
Aliens.
Aliens.
Like actual extraterrestrial life.
Wow. I did not see that coming.
It was an unexpected answer.
Yeah.
But it speaks to his curiosity and his willingness to entertain big, bold ideas.
That's cool.
And it's surprisingly relevant,
Okay.
given like the rapid pace of technological advancement we're seeing.
Totally.
He even brought up that new AI technology, Sora,
Oh, yeah.
which can create like incredibly realistic videos from just a few words.
It's mind-blowing.
Yeah, and he talked about seeing a demo of an 85-year-old woman.
That was entirely AI generated.
Wow.
And it really shook him.
Real.
You know, it made him think, what if we're all living in a simulation?
That is a mind-bending concept,
It is.
and one that's gaining traction as technology keeps advancing.
Exactly. And, you know, even someone like Elon Musk,
Yeah.
who's at the forefront of innovation,
Yeah.
is a proponent of the simulation theory.
It's wild to think about.
It's fascinating how these questions, which once seemed like science fiction,
Right.
are now being seriously considered
Yeah.
by some of the brightest minds.
It makes you wonder what else we might be taking for granted
Totally.
that could be completely upended in the next decade.
Right. And George's openness to these big, audacious questions
Yeah.
is a powerful reminder that there's always more to learn and discover.
Definitely.
It's about cultivating curiosity, challenging our assumptions, and being open to ideas that might initially seem far-fetched.
I think there's a lesson there for all of us.
Whether it's the possibility of alien life or some groundbreaking technology we haven't even imagined yet,
Right.
the future is full of unknowns.
Totally. And the more we embrace that uncertainty,
Yeah.
the more likely we are to adapt and thrive.
Exactly. It's about cultivating a mindset of continuous learning and exploration.
For sure.
Because who knows what incredible breakthroughs or paradigm-shifting discoveries are just around the corner.
Totally. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of Represent,
Okay.
we want to leave you with a final question to ponder.
By Gibby.
If you had to bet on one emerging trend or technology
Right.
that might dramatically change our world in the next decade, what would it be?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah. And how might it impact your life, your career, even your understanding of what it means to be human?
That's deep.
It is to allow yourself to imagine the possibilities.
Okay.
Don't be afraid to think big and embrace the unknown.
I like it.
The future is waiting to be shaped, and it's up to each of us to explore, question, and create the world we want to live in. That's it for this deep dive. We hope you enjoyed this journey into the world of fashion, entrepreneurship, and the boundless realm of human curiosity.
Dude.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to the next one. Now, remember that trademark battle we mentioned?
Oh, yeah.
Picture this. You've poured your heart and soul into building a brand for years,
Yeah.
and you suddenly get this letter saying that someone else is claiming to own the trademark
Oh, no.
in Europe.
Oh, my God.
Talk about a
Oh,
nightmare.
that's terrible.
And that's exactly what happened to George and Michael.
So another company just like came out of nowhere
Pretty much.
and said they had rights to the name Represent?
Yeah, and suddenly they were in a full-blown legal battle.
I mean, that's where the importance of due diligence really comes in.
Oh, absolutely, especially for new businesses.
Yeah.
Trademark issues can be so costly
Oh, yeah.
and drain you emotionally.
Totally.
It's a good reminder that legal matters shouldn't be taken lightly. And seeking advice from experts is crucial.
Absolutely. So for George and Michael, this was a really dark time.
Understandably so.
Filled with anxiety and fear.
Yeah.
They couldn't even post on social media for fear of tipping off the other company.
Wow.
They were literally living with the possibility of losing everything they worked so hard to build.
It's a lot of pressure.
It is, and it's a testament to their resilience
Yeah,
that they didn't crumble under that pressure.
for sure.
They actually channeled that stress into motivation
Oh, wow.
and pushed even harder to make the brand a success.
That's amazing.
And eventually, they negotiated a settlement, but they had to buy back the trademark,
Oh, wow.
which likely cost them millions.
Oh, my gosh.
But they got their brand back.
That's the important thing.
Can you imagine the relief?
Oh, I bet it was immense.
It was a crucial turning point in their story.
Absolutely.
They were willing to make significant financial sacrifices
Yeah.
to protect their brand and its future.
That shows real commitment.
It shows how much they believed in what they were creating.
Totally.
But even with the trademark issue resolved, they were still facing immense pressure.
Right?
The business was growing so rapidly,
Yeah.
and they were drowning in tasks.
Oh, wow. So it's like a double-edged sword.
Yeah, and they were making more money than they ever dreamed of in their early 20s.
That's incredible.
But it was coming at a personal cost.
Right. It's that classic entrepreneurial dilemma.
Yeah.
The tension between ambition and well-being.
Totally. And unsustainable growth can really harm both the business and the individual in the long run.
Absolutely.
And that's when George made a really pivotal decision.
Okay, what was that?
He hired Paul Spencer,
Okay.
who was this seasoned executive who had managed a $500 million business,
Wow.
to become Represent's CEO.
Oh, wow. So he brought in the big guns.
He did, and it was a brilliant move.
Yeah.
Bringing in someone with Paul's experience allowed George to step back from the day-to-day operations
Okay.
and focus on his creative strengths, which is really the heart of Represent.
Exactly. Delegate and elevate.
Yeah, And it's a lesson that he wishes he learned earlier,
What's that?
that it's okay to not be good at everything,
Oh, for sure.
and that bringing in experts can unlock incredible growth.
Totally.
And it's something that I think we can all apply to our own lives and careers.
Absolutely. Delegating doesn't mean losing control.
Yeah.
It's about empowering others
Right.
to contribute their talents and expertise.
And it allows you to focus on your highest value work.
Exactly.
So the impact of bringing Paul on board was immediate.
Okay.
George describes this incredible sense of relief.
Oh, wow.
It freed up his time and energy
Yeah.
to focus on what he truly loved,
Just,
designing the next collection.
that's awesome.
And it just reinforces the idea that delegation isn't about giving up control.
Right.
It's about leveraging the strengths of others to achieve more.
Couldn't agree more.
So George has asked this question about something he assumes is true, but hasn't really, deeply questioned. And you know what he says?
Well,
Aliens, actual extraterrestrial life.
wow. Okay. I was not expecting that.
Yeah, it's a pretty unexpected answer.
It is.
But I think it speaks to his curiosity
Yeah.
and his willingness to entertain these big, bold ideas.
Totally. And it's surprisingly relevant.
Yeah.
Given the crazy pace of technological advancement.
Totally. Think about it.
Yeah.
He even brought up that new AI technology, Sora,
Oh, yeah. I've heard of that.
which can create these incredibly realistic videos from just a few words.
It's insane.
I know. And he talked about seeing a demo of an 85-year-old woman that was entirely AI generated.
No.
And it really shook him.
I can imagine.
It made him think what if we're all living in a simulation?
Right. That's like a total mind-bending concept.
It is, and
Yeah.
it's gaining traction as technology blurs the lines between reality and what we perceive as real.
Totally. Even like Elon Musk,
I know, right?
who's at the forefront of all this innovation,
Yeah,
is like a proponent of the simulation theory.
it's wild.
It is.
And it's fascinating how these questions that once seemed like pure science fiction
Right.
are now being seriously considered by
Yeah.
some of the brightest minds.
It makes you wonder what else we might be taking for granted.
Totally.
That could be totally upended in the next decade.
Right. And George's openness to these big, audacious questions.
Yeah,
It's a powerful reminder that there's always more to learn and discover.
absolutely.
It's about cultivating that curiosity,
Yeah,
challenging our assumptions,
for sure.
and being open to ideas that might initially seem far-fetched.
Totally.
I think there's a huge lesson there for all of us.
I agree.
Whether it's the possibility of alien life or some groundbreaking technology we haven't even imagined yet,
Right.
the future is full of unknowns.
Yeah, and the more we embrace that uncertainty,
Totally.
the more likely we are to adapt and thrive.
It's about cultivating a mindset of continuous learning and exploration.
I love that.
Because who knows what incredible breakthroughs or paradigm-shifting discoveries are just around the corner.
Exactly.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of Represent and George Heaton's journey,
Yeah.
we want to leave you with a final question to ponder.
Okay, hit me.
If you had to bet on one emerging trend or technology that might dramatically change our world in the next decade, what would it be?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
It is. And how might it impact your life, your career, your relationships, even your understanding of what it means to be human?
Wow, that's deep.
It is, so allow yourself to imagine the possibilities.
Okay,
Don't be afraid to think big and embrace the unknown.
I like it.
The future is waiting to be shaped.
Yeah.
And it's up to each of us to explore, question, and create the world we want to live in.
Well said.
That's it for this deep dive into the world of Represent You. We hope you enjoyed this journey into the world of fashion entrepreneurship and the boundless realm of human curiosity.
I definitely did.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep